To the Sportscast, January 9th, 2022. If you haven't yet, please subscribe in all our channels. If you haven't yet, go to Twitter, go hit that follow button. Also, you can listen to us on your smart speaker. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, you can leave a rating and a review. It will help us out tremendously. We're also an online radio. You can listen to us 24/7. And you can visit our website, thesportscast.net, and also on Twitter, thesportscast1, and download our app, the Sportscast for iOS. And also subscribe to our Sportscast newsletter. Every morning you'll receive the latest scores, news, and things like that. NFL Week 18, the NFL regular season of 22-23 is completely over. It is concluded. It is done. And now we're in the playoffs. January football begins. And join us all the way from Northwest Pennsylvania, Joe Toscano. Welcome back to the Sportscast.
Southwest Pennsylvania. I'm right in
Southwest.
Pittsburgh, baby.
Yeah, I could say West. That's probably more of a safer, but
Western
PA is
that's generally, because Western PA, you think of Joe Montana and Dan Marino. Jim Kelly is from Western PA, kind of, not exactly near Pittsburgh, but yeah, Western PA covers it.
Yeah, exactly. And great weekend of football. It started from Saturday and into Sunday. A few kickers made some heroic kicking. But what's your overall thoughts before we recap Week 18?
Week 18 is sometimes it's a dud, but most of the time it's very exciting to see who will get in, who won't get in, what seeds teams will be. So sometimes everything's already established, but sometimes, like this past weekend, a lot was not established, and it was almost like a playoff atmosphere in some games.
It was. I did not expect Seattle to make it, to be honest.
Neither did the Packers.
Exactly. A little late breaking news. A lot going on. It is Black Monday. Cliff Kingsbury has been fired by the Cardinals. If you have not found out yet, I guess Joe's happy about that for some reason.
I've been saying this for months. He is a joke of a coach. He is not He is not an NFL coach. So this does not surprise. I'm not happy that anybody lost their job. Although the guy has a really nice house and makes a lot of money. So I'm not. He doesn't need assistance anytime soon. But he was not a NFL head coach. Basically, it was him and Kyler Murray, and he just let Kyler Murray do whatever he wants, just run around there and do playground ball. And sometimes that works. I mean, Kyler Murray is very talented, but sometimes it doesn't. And he was just not an NFL coach.
Yeah, the organization there was not that well, and plus that contract that happened earlier this season, preseason, about him going to study hall. A lot of confusion there, and that might have affected the tone of the season, maybe.
It's possible. I mean, basically, the entire franchise relies on Kyler Murray, and when Kyler Murray is hurt, then the whole team is done, and that's hey, you live by the sword, you die by the sword.
Sean McVay, rumors he might resign, so we'll see. He could join TV network talk commentary, which I'm surprised. I honestly don't think he should resign. I think he should stay in LA.
No, I think he should resign. The Rams are about to. They basically sold their souls to win a Super Bowl, and it worked. They went all in last year, and it worked, which is great. If you're going to go with your plan to go all in, it better work, and it did. But now they have to pay for it. Now the Rams are going to be bad for a long time. They have no draft picks. Their money is on, Matthew Stafford is I don't know if he's going to be gone or what. He's just hurt. They have a bunch of aging stars. McVay doesn't want to be around for that. He doesn't want to be around for a rebuild. So yeah, go into broadcasting, and I mean, it's a much easier job than coaching.
It is. Anyways, who's not injured and who's ready to go for this recap is you, Joe Toscano.
I'm 100%.
Let's get this going. All right, Kansas City on Saturday defeated the Raiders 31-13. The Chiefs are in the number one seed. Your thoughts about that?
This was a foregone conclusion. I mean, the Raiders are a mess, and the Chiefs were, they had something to play for. So this is a foregone conclusion. I like that the Chiefs they did that play where everybody went whirly around. Did you see that? And
that was a play. That was amazing. That was a good preseason play. It felt like
it was a preseason play, and people say it was disrespectful. It's like, well, if it's so disrespectful, then stop it.
It's not against the rules, right?
Exactly. It wasn't against the rules. So, if you feel disrespected, then maybe stop them from doing it, and they won't do it.
Jarrett Stidham had 219 yards. Raiders quarterback Derek Carr is expected to be traded. So we'll see. A lot of teams need quarterbacks, so Derek Carr would not be a bad thing. Mahomes had 202 yards. So the Chiefs have a week off. That is what they get rewarded for beating the Las Vegas Raiders. AFC South crown, Tennessee Titans against the Jaguars. Jaguars beat them 20-16. Josh Allen, a field goal. No, he had a 37-yard fumble return with 2 minutes and 51 minutes remaining. Helped the Jaguars beat rival Tennessee Titans 20-16 on Saturday night and secured their first AFC South championship since 2017. Are these the new boys in the block?
Yeah. Worst to first. They were the worst team in the worst record in the NFL last season, and now they win the AFC South. That is such a great turnaround, and you see that all the time. That's the great thing about the NFL. Like, there's so many teams that were not playoff teams last year that are playoff teams this year. So it's really cool. The Titans are just in bad shape. I mean, they were down to their basically Josh Dobbs. They pick up off the street that he just showed up, a couple weeks ago. They're just a mess. It's not their year. It was a really bad idea to trade AJ Brown. So the Titans are a bit of a mess, and I think they have a quarterback problem also.
Quarterback problem. Malik Willis was also benched, and of course Tannehill was injured. Tampa Bay, Atlanta. Brady left the game early, I believe in the first quarter or second quarter. Left the game in the second quarter and had to watch the remainder of his first career loss to the Falcons. But he had an NFL record for the most completions in the season, but they lost against Atlanta 30-17. But good for Brady.
Good for Brady, but it's his first losing season of his career. The Bucks already had the NFC South won, so they didn't care. But they finish with an 8-9 record. Your division, your NFC South champion has a losing record. How pathetic is that? And they're the 4th seed. They're hosting a playoff game. That is messed up.
And who they'll be hosting? Stay tuned. Nyheim Hines returned another kickoff for 101 yards for a go-ahead score in a 35-23 win and an over the New England Patriots. The Bills were playing for Damar Hamlin. They beat the Patriots 35-23. New England, all they needed to win to get into the playoffs, not enough.
Yeah, New England had everything to play for, but the Bills also had a lot to play for. They weren't going to get that number 1 seed, but they to lock in the 2 seed, which was very favorable to them. That they needed that. So they had a lot to play for. Very emotional. The kick return to start the game. I think they said it was like 3 years and 3 months since the last time that happened. Of course, 3 is Damar Hamlin's number. It was a very emotional game. My joke was you knew the Bills were going to win. The Bills by 1 million, but I think the emotions affected them, and I think they needed to get this out of the way. You saw Josh Allen after the game. He was almost crying. I'm sure the whole team was extremely emotional, and that had to affect their play. But they still stomped the Patriots, and I'm glad the Patriots. Nobody wants to see the Patriots in the playoffs.
And Bill Belichick, will he ever experience a Black Monday moment?
No, he'll go out whenever he feels like it. I mean, he's earned that. But at the same time, it's been almost 4 years since he's won a playoff game. Basically, see, Belichick's a great coach. He is a lousy administrator and a lousy general manager. And they need to do something about, maybe he needs to lose some power. He's never going to get fired, but they need to lose some power because he had just his buddies in their coaching this year, and it was a disaster. They stunted the growth of Mac Jones with that idiot offensive coordinator, Patricia or whatever.
Patricia.
Yeah, it was a joke. It was an absolute joke. So he needs some power taken away from him. The owner needs to say, listen, we're bringing in some actual coordinators, not some not your buddies, dude. So somebody that actually has to acquire talent that's good, because that's the problem. He is not getting good players.
Yeah, Bill Belichick is also GM and coach. He had a press conference this morning in New England that he will be returning. He's 71 years old, though. We'll see what happens. Any changes maybe from the up top with Kraft. Kirk Cousins threw for 225 yards and a touchdown in the first half, and watched the rest of the way as the NFC North champion Vikings tuned up for the playoffs by beating the Bears 29-13 on Sunday. Chicago also got a big win by landing the number 1 pick in the draft, Joe. The loss combined with Houston's prevailing 32-31 at Indianapolis put Chicago in the top spot for the first time since 1947.
The Bears were trying very hard to tank. I believe they started the game with Nathan Peterman, who is very bad, and I guess he was doing all right, so they pulled him. Hey, good, go tank. That's okay. You want the number 1 pick? Cool, go get it. But the funny thing about the Bears is they traded with the Steelers for Chase Claypool, their 2nd round pick. Well, that 2nd round pick turned out to be the first pick of the 2nd round, which technically is a 32nd pick because of the shenanigans with the Dolphins. So the Steelers are very happy that the Bears did not do well. The Vikings, I don't think they had much to gain in this game. Possibly they could have got the 2 seeds, so they really didn't care. But I'm still real interested to see how they do in the playoffs. I have a feeling they're just so lucky. They just got so lucky all throughout the year. At some point, your luck runs out. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see if that luck carries on in the playoffs. Joe Burrow threw for a touchdown, and Joe Mixon ran for another, as the Bengals took advantage of 4 Ravens turnovers to win 27-16 on Sunday. Ravens team rested some key players ahead of the postseason, avoided a coin flip to determine the site of their playoff game against the Ravens. And Ravens were without their 2 top quarterbacks, Lamar Jackson and also Huntley. So we'll see if Jackson will return for the playoffs.
That is a big question. He hasn't played in a while. He hasn't practiced in a while. And the other thing there is he still doesn't have a contract. I wonder if he's going to say, you know what, I'm not playing. I'm not going to risk my career and my contract. I don't know. I don't know how that's all going to work out. I mean, he probably will, but I don't know how that's all going to work out. The Bengals were angry about that whole coin flip situation. In fact, when Joe Mixon scored a touchdown, he pulled out a coin from his thing and they flipped it and basically mocked that. So they were not happy about that situation. The Bengals, I think, are one of the big 3. The Chiefs, the Bills, and the Bengals. I think those are the big 3, not only in the AFC, but in the entire NFL to make it to the Super Bowl. They are just a super team right now. They are looking amazing, and I think they're going to go far.
Dolphins kicker Jason Sanders, whose booming go-ahead kick with 18 seconds helped Miami squeak past the New York Jets 11-6 on Sunday to clinch a postseason berth for the first time since 2016.
Dolphins got into the playoffs, but boy, was that ugly. Oh my goodness.
It was miserable. It was
it was
dragging your feet.
The the barn burning matchup between Skylar Thompson and Joe Flacco. Oh my goodness, that was a disaster. Steeler fans were watching this game very closely because if the Dolphins did lose with everything that shaked out, the Steelers would have made the playoffs, but they squeaked in. And now the big question is, will Tua be back? You would think he would. You think he's going to be good enough to make the playoffs, but still the Dolphins have struggled these past few weeks. They are definitely limping into the playoffs.
Miami finished the season with 9-8, snapped a 5-game losing streak, and then had to wait a few minutes for Buffalo to beat New England 35-23 to make the Dolphins playoff appearance official. Pretty excited. Mike McDaniels will have another season in his belt for the Dolphins next. Panthers' Eddie Pinheiro kicked a 42-yard field goal as time expired, and Carolina closed out its season with an opportunistic 10-7 victory over the New Orleans Saints on Sunday. Another meaningless game.
And it's real interesting to see what's going to happen, who's going to be the coach in Carolina. They have done very well with, I believe his name's Steve Wilkes, who's the interim coach now. He has really rallied them. They've really got behind him, but we'll see what happens. I heard they're talking to Harbaugh. Who knows what coaching candidates are out there. So who knows if they'll go outside or if they'll just stay within. But hey, if you have a coach that the team, that the players love and they rally around, what more do you want? They're winning.
Steve Wilkes, interim coach for the Panthers. He is going to be interviewed for the head coaching position, so he is in the running for that. Russell Wilson rediscovered some of his magic Sunday, throwing for 3 touchdowns and a trio of bullseye deep balls that each covered more than 50 yards in the Broncos' 31-28 win over the playoff team, Los Angeles Chargers. Broncos, since the firing of Hackett, they've been doing better, and also the Broncos are interviewing 3 people for their head coaching position.
They're thinking about getting Sean Payton, and that would be amazing. I think that would be a really smart move. But whoever they get as coach in Denver has to be stuck with Russell Wilson, and Russell Wilson was a disaster this year. So who knows what's going on? But I think Sean Payton would be the perfect coach to come in. I think they would have to make a trade with New Orleans or something like that. But this was very curious because it was a meaningless game for Denver, and it was really a meaningless game for Chargers, but they still played the win, and they got Mike Williams got hurt. That's a disaster. You lose one of your best players in a meaningless game as you're going into the playoffs. What are you doing? That's another one. Cliff Kingsbury was I don't want to say a joke. He just wasn't quite an NFL coach. But that Brandon Staley at the Chargers, he is almost as much of a joke. He had that little gimmick with Mr. Go For It on every 4th down. Everybody knows your gimmick by now, dude. That's all you got. You're an idiot.
The Chargers
have to be critical.
Yeah, exactly. Chargers are now locked into the 5th seed and will be going to Jacksonville. So this weekend, Saturday night, we'll talk about more of that in the schedule. Jalen Hurts returned from a sprained right shoulder and threw for 229 yards under a conservative game plan, and the Eagles clinched the number 1 seed finally with a 22-16 over the New York Giants on Sunday night.
The big question is Jalen Hurts okay? Is he injured? How injured is he? How good is he going to be? This is his first game back in a while, and their entire playoff hopes rest on Jalen Hurts. So we'll see. This was a meaningless game for the Giants. That they had nothing to gain, so they didn't really try. It was a big game for the Eagles because they needed to win to get that number 1 seed. But still, it's all on Jalen Hurts, and we'll see what his status is and how healthy he is.
Eagles and Hurts will have a week off. They have a bye week, and we'll see them in 2 weeks. So this is what the rest they needed. Brock Purdy, 3 touchdown passes for the 6th straight game with multiple touchdowns, and the 49ers clinched the number 2 seed in NFC playoffs with 38-13 victory over the Cardinals on Sunday. This Niners team, everyone's kind of picking them to go to the Super Bowl, feels like.
I'm telling you what, they are looking good. they are looking at Brock Purdy. What the heck is going on here?
It's the next Joe Montana.
He might be the next Joe Montana. He is perfect for their system. And their system is really good. And they got some good players. They have some real good weapons there. McCaffrey and Kittle. And I think Deebo Samuel is just about to come back. And Ayuk. They got some really good weapons. All they need is for somebody just to play within the system and not screw it up. And that's Brock Purdy. Ever since Brock Purdy showed up, George Kittle is like blowing up. He gets like 2 touchdowns every game. Yeah, the 49ers are scary good. They're scary good. They have probably the best defense in the league. And if their offense is going, yeah, oh my goodness. I can't wait to see if it ends up being 49ers versus Eagles. Oh, that'll be amazing.
NFC Championship game, Philly, not a bad idea, Joe. Dak Prescott completed 14 of his 37 passes for 128 yards, threw for another interception that was returned for a touchdown, and the Cowboys laid an egg in their final regular season game, losing 26-6 to the Washington Commanders on Sunday. Sam Howell, rookie, threw a touchdown pass to Terry McLaurin among his 11 of 19 passes for 169 yards and ran for another 35 yards rushing. Not a bad day for Howell in Washington, but Dallas, they had a chance to be the number one in the NFC East, but Eagles had that back.
I'm not sure what happened here. I don't know I think the Cowboys were trying, but they just played really bad. I don't know what the heck was going on here. Cowboys have not looked good for like a month now. I'm not sure what's happening there. Dak's not looking good. The whole team's not looking good. They picked up the horrible time to look because they were looking amazing earlier in the season. I don't know what's going on there, but they're playing at Tampa in their first round match. Very interesting matchup. I would not. You would assume that Tampa would lose, but I don't know. I mean, Tampa already beat them in week 1, so I don't know what's going to happen there.
Aaron Bernstein from Sports Talk 101 says 49ers will knock out the Eagles. Do you agree with that?
Oh my God, it'll be such a good matchup. I don't know. I think it's all dependent on Jalen Hurts' health. But the thing is, the 49ers have that experience. They were in the Super Bowl. I believe that they went deep in the playoffs last year. They have that playoff experience, and the Eagles really don't. This is a relatively new team to the playoffs, especially Jalen Hurts. So, yeah, I probably would give the edge to the 49ers. I think the 49ers are like the perfect playoff team because they rely on running and defense.
Yeah, with the Eagles, Jalen Hurts being injured, not a good scenario, but we'll see how he does in the playoffs. He has a game or two before he faces the Niners. All right, last game of the night of the weekend, the regular season, 4-time MVP Packers will not be participating in the playoffs. Rodgers was intercepted by Kirby Joseph on what might have been the final pass of the future Hall of Famer's career, and Green Bay lost 20-16 to the Detroit Lions on Sunday night in a game the Packers needed to win to reach the playoffs, same position as the Patriots, and that granted Seattle Seahawks berth to the playoffs.
Unbelievable. The way it shaked out was the Sunday night game was Lions at Packers, and it depended on what happened with the Seahawks earlier in the day, and the Seahawks won. So all the Packers had to do was win, and you're in. That meant that the Lions had nothing to play for. The only thing they had to play for was to stick it to the Packers, and they just went out there and they had fun. They did trick plays. They went for it on 4th down. They just had fun. The Packers were super tight, and the Packers lost in a must-win game on their own field. Wow. And that might be Aaron Rodgers' last game as a Packer. Oh, my goodness.
Yes, he said in the press conference he's not sure what's going to happen. He does have a season left in his contract, but he could retire. He is 39 years old. Aaron from Sports Talks 101 says Rodgers, that bum. Rodgers will be the new Jets quarterback in 2023.
I totally agree. I totally agree. It makes total sense for Aaron Rodgers to be with the Jets next year.
Makes sense. Follow on Brett Favre's path, his steps. All right. So we got the NFL regular season all wrapped up. Let's look at the schedule for this weekend, Saturday. Seahawks at San Francisco. Your thoughts on that matchup, Joe?
I mean, the Seahawks are a nice story, and they played way better than anybody expected this year. But I don't think they're going to do too well in San Francisco. Like I said, I think San Francisco is. I think the NFC Championship game is going to be 49ers at Eagles.
Chargers at the Jaguars. Jacksonville hosting, not their first time hosting a playoff game, even though they're a young team. Chargers are looking good. Obviously, as you were saying, one of the players got injured, but they do got Herbert. How do you see that matchup, Chargers at Jaguars?
I think it was a lovely story that the Jaguars made the playoffs, but I think that's where they're run. I think that's where the story ends. Chargers are super talented. Herbert was hurt earlier in the year, and a lot of their team was hurt earlier in the year, but they're healthier now. I think the Chargers. I think the Chargers are at least going to win this game, and you might. I don't know. I don't. It depends on who they play next, but I kind of like. I have a feeling the Chargers might go deep in the playoffs.
Jaguars, I cannot walk over them. I can't sleep on them. So we'll see what happens on there.
I mean, it's a super talented team. You know, they've had all these, top draft picks for all these years. So you figure they would, you can't just, especially their defense, that, that Josh Allen is amazing. So yeah, you would think, and I mean, Trevor Lawrence is, I think he is the real deal. He's as good as advertised. So he is a good quarterback in his own right, but I don't think it's the Jaguars' time yet.
Tough place to win in Jacksonville. Don't forget those words I just said.
That's true.
Miami at Buffalo, as Joe said, Tua is a big factor. Will he play? I don't think Skylar Thompson or Terry Bridgewater could lead this team. Only Tua. Your thoughts over this matchup?
I don't care if it's Tua. Dan Marino is prime. I don't care who you got as Dolphins quarterback. They are not winning in Buffalo. I don't. No, it's just not happening. I mean, I had Buffalo. Like, Buffalo was my preseason pick to make it to the Super Bowl, but everything that happened with DeMar Hamlin, they're playing with extra emotion. They're playing with extra motivation, and I think that's going to propel them into the Super Bowl. I still think Buffalo is my pick to go to the Super Bowl.
Giants at Minnesota. Vikings beat the Giants earlier on Christmas Eve. Vikings beat them by 3 points. A rematch. This could be a close one, Joe.
I'm telling you that at some point the Vikings' luck is going to run out, and I don't know. I mean, the Giants are basically they're almost a one-trick pony. They're basically Saquon Barkley, and that's it. But still, I don't know. It would not surprise me if the Giants won this game.
I would not be surprised. I think Dabble, what he's doing up in New York, is fantastic. Let's go into the other one. Baltimore at Cincinnati. Cincinnati has had a good record against the Ravens. They're beating them yesterday. They're playing again. Back to back.
Wow.
I don't remember the last time I saw that, but I think the Bengals got this.
It's very rare, but yeah, the Bengals got this. I think the Bengals are going deep in the playoffs. I totally believe in Joe Burrow. They got a really strong team. And the thing is about Lamar Jackson, this is a terrible matchup for Baltimore. Lamar Jackson and that Baltimore offense works well against a team that's not used to seeing this type of offense, because it's so different. It's this strong running attack. They do a lot of exotic things. But if you're used to seeing it like the Bengals are, they see it 2 times every year, and they've seen it for the last 4 years. They know what to expect. And even if Lamar Jackson plays, Ravens are extremely hurt. They basically don't have any wide receivers. Their whole passing game is Andrews. Bengals are totally winning this.
For sure. And for Monday night, the final game of the wildcard weekend, Dallas Cowboys, as we said before, at Tampa. A interesting game, interesting matchup. They played actually last September 11th. of this season, and Tampa Bay beat them 19-3. So, what do you think about this matchup?
I saw something that Dallas does not play well on the road on grass. I think there's something about, the grass slows them down a little bit. So I don't know. I mean, this is probably. People are talking about, where's Tom Brady going to play next year? Is he going to be with the Raiders, or where is he going to end up? So I'm assuming he's going to play another year, but this might be it for Tom Brady. So I don't know. I would say that the Bucks are winning this just because of Tom Brady.
I think so too. This is a toss-up game, but I think Tampa has the edge. Interesting stat about the grass part. But we'll see what happens. Aaron says Dak is overrated. Zeke is overrated. Dallas is one and
The
done.
entire Cowboys team is overrated, and they always have been. That's their shtick. They are overrated. They are America's team. Everyone loves, they hate them, but they are so everything's big in Texas, including their egos.
Bucks win, going for the Bucks. So that's pretty much what he's telling us.
I can see that.
And he's saying NFC Championship game, Vikings versus Niners. Can you see that happening?
No. I'm telling you, the Vikings are a mirage. I'm not saying they're bad. I'm just saying they got real lucky this year.
Okay, well, there you go. NFL wildcard weekend begins this weekend. 3 days, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. You cannot be bored. All interesting matchups. Some ones are a little bit questionable. I think the Bengals Ravens seems like the most obvious win there. So, and maybe Miami Buffalo. It depends who's playing this quarterback, in my opinion. Tonight is the college football championship, national championship. TCU versus the Georgia Bulldogs. Who do you got tonight, Joe Toscano?
It's so hard to go against Georgia. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me if TCU pulled off something, because that was an amazing game they had against Michigan. But then again, Georgia also had an amazing game against Ohio State. So I'm hoping it's close, but I just have a feeling Georgia is going to pull away.
Aaron agrees. Bulldogs are going to win. And today is National Clean Off Your Decks Day. What is your favorite office decks item? Options are stapler, pencils and pens, paper clips, or the whiteout.
Those are so boring. I have a bunch of knickknacks. I have like toys, like Transformers and stuff like that. So that's my choice. Toys.
So you're like a Dwight
I'm a
Schrute.
kid.
Having
I am Dwight.
I'm
basically Dwight Schrute. Yes.
I've never seen a stapler in a gelatin mold.
Wow, that's a great prank to play on someone. Actually, I have seen that. We have done that prank on someone before.
I gotta try it here at my office. Anyways, Joe, what is the best way to reach you online to ask you, would Brady be a good fit, a good inclusion for the Steelers?
Sure, he could be a backup. Yeah, I'm Joey Bag of Donuts V instead of an F.
You said it. You can reach us at the sportscast.net on our website, or the Sportscast One on Twitter and Instagram. We'll be live tweeting tonight for National Championship. TCU, the biggest underdog, David versus Goliath. TCU versus Georgia tonight. Looking forward to it. And remember, keep an eye tomorrow, Sports Talk 101 on this same channels. And then on Thursday is Jersey Boys Sports Talk. So we'll see what Vic and Byron have to talk about when the Giants played the Vikings. And they're probably going to talk a lot about the Cowboys and the Bucs. So looking forward to it. Joe, another great Monday. I'll see you next week. How about that?
Sounds good.
And this was your update.